Welcome to Austin Tech Connect. This is the official podcast of the Austin Technology Council. My name is Thom Singer, and we have been hosting this show for over 3.5 years. And almost every single week, I bring you an interview with somebody who is very interesting, who is doing really cool things in the greater ecosystem around Austin Tech. But today's episode is probably only the second or third time I'm doing a shorter solo episode. And that is because this week we hosted the 2026 Austin Tech Hall of Fame. And gosh, it was such a great event. But it's interesting because I've had several people reach out to me in the last 2 days because they're seeing all the activity on LinkedIn, both from the people who were inducted this year, from past inductees, and from people who were in the room. And a lot of people don't know about the Austin Tech Hall of Fame, and they don't know how it came about. So I thought that I would take this episode just to share a little bit about it. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm the CEO of the Austin Technology Council, and 3 years ago, I came up with this idea. And as I started putting it together, that we should have a Hall of Fame that celebrates the people who helped build the ecosystem here in Austin. Now, the interesting thing is, I didn't want this just to be an award show where we give an award to the person who has the biggest exit or gets the most funding or who has started the most companies. Those things all matter. But Austin wasn't built by just entrepreneurs who get funded and then go ring the bell on Wall Street. Austin was founded by a community of people, and that included entrepreneurs and founders. It included investors. It included executives in larger companies. It included people in academia. It included people from the solution provider companies that help the law firms, the banks, the accounting firms. It included the journalists in the community. There were a lot of people who came together, rolled up their sleeves, and made sure that Austin became Austin. Those of us who live here today, we're very fortunate because we get to stand on the shoulders of giants. And so I came up with this idea that we should have this Hall of Fame focused on the people, not the companies, not just a select few, but everybody who we believe contributed. And as I was putting it together the first year and talking to the board of ATC about doing this, I discovered that in the mid-teens, 2000 teens, ATC had attempted to do something like this. It was actually called the Austin Tech Hall of Fame, but they only did it for a couple of years and they gave it to one person per year. So there were only 2 people that we discovered who had ever been put in. The problem is we think there's 70 or 80 people who are legitimately the foundational and legacy people who created this tech community. So you can't do one a year. You'll never catch up. But you also can't drop 80 people into a Hall of Fame all at once, or it would be a very long and boring night. So what we did is we created this 8-year launch where every year we put in 8 foundational legacy inductees. We do a current year inductee, somebody who is in the community, is Hall of Fame worthy, and is doing things today. And we created a first-time founder award, which sits alongside the Austin Tech Hall of Fame so that we are honoring someone who's been in business for at least 3 years. Their company is doing great things, and it's their first time starting a company. So that way, this whole event will celebrate the past, it'll be present in the now, and it will look to the future. So I don't take the history of Austin for granted. Those of you who know me know that I talk a lot about the power of community, collaboration, and conversation. Now, we have to look backwards. We have to be in the present, and we have to look forward. And that is at the hallmark of everything that I do with ATC. I really believe in this tech community. But the more I learn about ecosystems, the more it becomes clear to me. The future of a city is stronger when the people understand the story that they are joining. If they move here, they're not surprised. If they've been here a while, they get educated. History gives newcomers context, but it gives longtime residents pride. And it gives leaders a cleaner sense of what must be protected while everything around them is changing. And let's face it, Austin is changing. It's changing fast, maybe faster than ever in the 35 years I've lived here. And when a city moves this quickly, it's easy to lose the thread. And the Austin Technology Council and the Austin Tech Hall of Fame exists to make sure that we don't lose that thread. So this year, we inducted 8 foundational/legacy honorees or inductees. They were Ken DeAngelis, Hugh Forrest, Brett Hurt, Joe McCall, Bob Metcalf, Jan Ryan, Joel Trammell, and Peter Zandan. These people are amongst those who have been building things in Austin for decades, before it was even obvious that Austin would become the city that it is today. We also announced Tyson Tuttle, the former CEO of Silicon Labs and the current CEO and co-founder of Circuit, as the 2026 current year inductee. And then the First Time Founder Award this year, which is the third year that we've done this, went to Will Wilder from Wilder Systems. And he was the only one who wasn't able to be there on Tuesday night, which was a shame because it would have been great to have been able to hear from him alongside the other 9 inductees who gave speeches that not only talked about their accomplishments, but it wasn't braggy. They talked about the fabric of what made Austin great and why they came here and why they stayed here to build companies. Now, here's something I want people to understand about what we are building with this program. We're only 3 years into what I call an 8-year launch. And that goes back to what I said about you can't drop everybody in at once because so many people contributed. However, we need to make sure that we're moving forward. So if you look at the list of everybody who is part of the Hall of Fame and you don't see somebody who you admire, don't call me and say, oh my God, how could you have a Hall of Fame and not include this person? My answer to people who do that, and actually lots of people have done that over the last 3 years, is it's an 8-year launch. Did you nominate them? Almost every time when someone asks why wasn't someone added to the Hall of Fame, the number one reason is nobody nominated them. What we've done with this program is this is not just an ATC program. This is a community program. Anybody can nominate anyone they want for membership into the Hall of Fame. And then we have a select committee that is some board members and some other people in the committee, and now some people who are inducted into the Hall of Fame. And they go through the list and they read the nominations and they select the 8 people who will be the foundational one, the 2026 and the first time founder, so that it is a fair and unbiased system. This is not a popularity contest. One of the things I tell the committee every single year is it doesn't matter if you don't like the person. What matters is, did they have an impact on the ecosystem? And are they, open quote, Hall of Fame worthy? And have they been around, except for the first time founder, have they been around about 10 years? There's so many amazing people moving to Austin who are going to have an impact on this community. But if you've lived here 3 years, are you worthy for the Austin Tech Hall of Fame? I don't think so. It doesn't mean you won't be, but there has to be a little bit of longevity into the game if you're going to be part of a Hall of Fame. So that's what we're trying to do. I know that it's slow to do 8 people a year because everybody's thinking of people. Well, make sure you get them nominated year over year, and we will be able to tell their story as well because we want to have those people in the room and we want them to be heard and we want to honor them because we will have a better future if people choose to be part of one community. Now, there's a lot of talk. People say, oh, the new people, they're doing their own thing. They don't care about the past. I don't know if that's true. And some of the newer people say, well, the older people just want to live in the nostalgia. I don't know that that's true. I believe that everyone who calls themselves an Austinite, who cares about the future, and dang it, that should be everybody. Everybody needs to live by these 3 words: community, collaboration, and conversation. If you're pointing fingers at somebody in a different silo, in a different corner of the Austin ecosystem and saying, oh, they don't do this the way I want, or they don't like us, or they don't do this, point that finger back around at yourself and ask yourself, what have I done around community, collaboration, and conversation in the last 3 years? Call those people and go to coffee with them. Because what happens is when we sit across the table from people and we understand what their motivation is and what they're doing, and we get a mutual understanding, the whole community wins. The other thing that was great about the 2026 Austin Tech Hall of Fame and First Time Founder Award, the other thing that was so great about it was we had amazing sponsors. First of all, KPMG and Egan Nelson law firm have been the title sponsors every year since we founded this program. And I have to thank them both because you come up with a new idea for an event and people are like, well, maybe we'll wait a few years before we sponsor. But both of these companies said, no, we want to help you build something. And KPMG and Egan Nelson both stepped up and have come back year over year as our title sponsors. We also added this year Wise, who was our event sponsor. We held it in their offices at the Domain, and it was a beautiful location. VCFO, Partners Commercial Cleaning, Red Fan Communications, and Sales Handicapper all joined us this year as sponsors. And moving forward, VCFO is going to continue as the First Time Founder Award sponsor. And we have already talked about next year and some really cool ideas around the 3 people who have already been inducted as First Time Founder Award winners, as well as whoever will be chosen next year, the year after, and the year after. So this event that is 3 years old is starting to get people saying, hey, I have new ideas. Hey, how about if we do that? Hey, can we sponsor? Hey, can we host this? And so if you haven't had a chance to attend in 2024, 2025, or 2026, mark your calendars now for sometime in the spring of 2027. Obviously, we just finished the other one 2 days ago. I don't have a date picked out yet or a location, but in typically around January, we will open nominations. Somebody asked me, I didn't know anything about it. How can I know? Well, it goes out in the ATC newsletter. So make sure that you go to the austintechnologycouncil.org website and sign up for the newsletter. The second thing is that our social media is one of the ways that people found out about it. The LinkedIn page for the Austin Technology Council has almost 10,000 followers. When I got here 4 years ago, there were about 3,000 people who were connected to that page. We're now about to cross the 10,000 level, and that is a big communication tool that we use. So make sure that you're checking out our website at austintechnologycouncil.org, and you're following us on social media so that you'll know about this event and other events that we do. So we would love to have more people involved. So this was kind of a different episode, but so many people have been pinging me and asking questions saying, I didn't know about it. How do you nominate somebody? Why wasn't this person put in? Tell me more about the history of the Austin Tech Hall of Fame. So I thought I would do this real quick episode so that I'd give you kind of my 2 cents about it. I could probably talk about the Austin Tech Hall of Fame for 2 hours straight, telling you all the details of all the people who've been nominated and how it's worked and why it's been so great. But if you go to austintechhalloffame.com, you will find all of that information. But really quick, I would like to say the names of everybody who has been inducted over the years. That is, and those are just alphabetical. And by the way, this is one other thing. There's no hierarchy in a Hall of Fame. The people who are the current year inductees, I do put the year they were inducted next to their name because they are that current year inductee. But the people who are put in as the foundational and legacy members, it's the same thing. There is no hierarchy in a Hall of Fame. If you're a member of the Hall of Fame, you are a member of the Hall of Fame. So just going through alphabetically, it's Angelos Angelou, Josh Baer, Bill Bach, John Sibley Butler, Ken DeAngelis, Michael Dell, Joyce Durst, Bob Fabio, Hugh Forrest, Lori Hawkins, Brett Hurt, Admiral Bobby Inman, Laura Kilcrease, George Kosmetsky, Joe Lamont, Joe McCall, Mark McLean, Bob Metcalf, Pike Powers, Jan Ryan, Carol Thompson, John Thornton, Joel Trammell, Jimmy Trabig, Dr. James Truchard, Tyson Tuttle, Bill Wood, Ellen Wood, and Peter Zandan. And the 3 years of the First Time Founder Award winners are Ashley Rose, Matt Engel, and Will Wilder. Just saying those names makes me tremble because those are the giants whose shoulders we stand on, and these are the people who you should know. If you go to austintechhalloffame.com and you click on any of their photos, their bios will come up. I think it's very important that we know the history of Austin so that we can build upon it. So thank you very much for listening to this episode. We're about 14 minutes in, which makes it about half the length of a regular episode. So please make sure if you got a little extra time, go listen to another interview that you haven't listened to before. And thank you for being part of the audience for Austin Tech Connect. We are one of the top podcasts for the Austin tech ecosystem, and I am currently looking for new guests. So if you work for a tech company and you have executives who like to talk about the company, they like to talk about Austin, and they're doing something cool, reach out to me and make sure that I know about them and they know about me so that we can get them as a guest on Austin Tech Connect. Thank you.